Boom! We are live, Facebook peeps. I'm here with my homegirl, Tara Jane Brown. Excuse me, I always say Tara, but it's Tara Jane Brown. And yeah, I just want to make sure that you're kind of centered in there. We can see you. Looking great, hun. I'm just going to give a
Thank
few
you.
seconds for people to come on. We're talking about anxiety. We're talking about one of the most common emotional, mental conditions that I've ever seen. Both me as a chiropractor in my clinical practice, people would come in with aches and pains all the time. And then they would always kind of put in that they had anxiety as well. So it's like, what do I have a right to be talking about anxiety as a chiropractor? This is an epidemic. This is something that most people have not only maybe are living with it right now, or went through a period of time where they were living with it. And so because I had such big problems with it growing up, I knew that I wanted to find the solution. I knew that there was a solution to be able to deal with anxiety and stress. And Tara Jane Brown is my homegirl, and I've been working with you for the past 6 weeks or so, and 8 weeks. And I just wanted you to share your experience. So welcome, Tara. Where are you from? And how did you hear about me in the first place?
I'm from Whitby, Ontario, and sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback here, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm from Whitby, Ontario, and I first knew about you when I worked at a chiropractic office, and we were told to follow you. And even after I left, I still continued to follow you. And then you had started with the overview method, which I found really interesting, and kind of in and out followed on that throughout the years.
Cool. So tell me what life was like for you. Tell me about your story with anxiety, because there's people that are watching right now who are probably struggling. And what was it like for you each and every day when you were living? Like you had mentioned that, like, one of the things that really stood out was you were literally vomiting every single week, once a week, with a panic attack. Like, what was that like? What was life like for you?
It was horrible. It was like I couldn't deal with anything anytime stress came, like any kind of issue, stress came up. I was vomiting. I was, I would have to leave the room. I couldn't be around people. It was very limiting. I was used to be a very outgoing social person, and I started closing myself off from people, family.
Like a disassociation. Like you just pulled away, which is very common for those of you who are struggling right now. Disassociation is what happens when you are so used to feeling this shitty feeling that your emotions, you start blocking the emotion. And all of a sudden you separate yourself from reality, and it's kind of like the world is going by, but you have lost all feeling inside. You've completely disassociated yourself. There is a kind of a depersonalization. It's just kind of like you separate yourself from reality because the reality is too painful emotionally. And so, what was it like that time where you were reaching out? What was relationship like? What was your social life like? What was your, life like with your family at the time? What were you living like?
Oh, I started in my early 20s, and then as kind of the years went on and things kind of got harder in life, relationships, dealing with issues with family, I found it got worse and worse as it went on. And 2 years ago, I cut my dad out of my life. I just said, I'm done with your crap. I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's it. And he was like, fine, you're not my daughter.
Wow.
See you later. And I was like, okay, fine. And I thought it was the best decision that I had made in my whole entire life, when in fact my life got so much worse. I was vomiting weekly. I couldn't deal with any kind of thing that reminded me of my situation with my dad.
What was your employment like? Were you working? Were you what did it get to? What point did it get to when you can say that it was rock bottom? What was your rock bottom like? Just so that the people who are listening, there might be somebody who can relate, and they're possibly they're at that place right now. What would you say your rock bottom was like, Tara?
my rock bottom, I stopped working, and like Kyle said, it was okay for me to stop working, which probably wasn't the greatest thing, but I stopped working and I literally wanted to die. I would go to bed every night saying, I don't want to wake up in the morning. Please don't let me wake up in the morning. Or I'd be driving and I'd be like, I just want somebody to hit me. I,
Hit you.
yeah, like I did not want to go on another day living, like dealing with anything.
Ah.
That was,
Okay, so fast forward to December when we had our conversation and we created a little possibility for your life at the time, and you jumped in with both feet and you were like, I can't live like this anymore. So we got started in the process of transforming it. So what was that
yeah.
like for you right away?
At the beginning, it was scary. It was scary at the beginning,
Okay,
but
so
I mean,
before you say what it was like, before you say what it was like, I want you to tell me what you had tried before. What had you
oh,
tried in order to deal with this, in order to solve this issue? You're like, I got anxiety, I'm having panic attacks. What is it that you had tried before this, before we started working together?
I've tried Reiki, I've tried hypnotherapy, I've done like therapy groups, support groups, one-on-one therapy with counselors, gone to doctors, been on medication. You name it, I tried it. Yoga, uh, as
Everything.
in yoga, everything.
So
I would run away.
when we met, were you a little bit skeptical as to this thing working?
I'm being honest. I was very skeptical.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
Most people, whenever I do a little consult with them, they say, but I've tried everything. I doubt that this is going to work. So I'd like for you to explain what was different about this approach compared to everything else that you've ever tried for your anxiety.
That you
What was
didn't let me, that I wasn't allowed telling my bullshit story. That I was I was to man up and say where I have been wrong, where I've been wrong in my own life, not what other people are doing to me, and not like poor me. It was, okay, where are you being inauthentic in your life, and what, like, and connecting that with like traumas, and just
guilt
getting
was
rid
a
of
big one.
that guilt. What I was just going to say was guilt was a huge one for me.
Yeah, I
Was,
just want you guys to listen. And while you're listening to Tara explain to her story, I want you to think of yourself in your life, because my experience in working with people with chronic anxiety, like in Tara's case, is that there's a couple things going on. Number one, there's past events that they haven't yet looked at appropriately. They're still playing victim to it, like you were, right? You were playing victim to who?
oh, to myself, I was, poor me, poor me. I'm like mistreated by everybody, and nobody understands me.
And when you went to other therapists, they would buy into the story, wouldn't they?
Oh, I tell the same stories over and over again every week.
Every week. Back.
They're
By the way,
with no resolution, and
no
it was,
resolution, which is great for the
yeah.
counselor or therapist. Now, I'm not knocking all counselors or therapists. This is what I'm saying is the difference between a coach and a counselor is that I'm not bound by any like professional type of, oh, you should be supportive. If I'm like a coach slash mentor slash friend. If Tara, if my number one view is the highest version of her, if she starting to go off on her story, is everything okay over there? If she's starting to
Yeah,
go off
sorry, I'm
on her
just
story,
grabbing a plug.
no worries. If she's starting to go off on her story, then my job is to basically call her out on it and just see the higher version of her as a possibility. So
Yeah.
basically that's what we did. And one of the things that I want you to be present to, if you're listening and you've been dealing with this anxiety, is that perhaps you're not dealing with a disorder called anxiety. You're dealing with inadequacy, guilt, not good enough, not worthy of love, stupid, lazy, all of these beliefs and stories that consistently get triggered throughout the day, creating stress and panic attacks. And you're going around looking for a solution that's outside of you, doing talk therapy or hypnotherapy, rather than dealing with the real issue or finding somebody who actually gives a shit about you enough to say, enough, that's enough of the story. We're going to actually resolve it. And so what did you notice happen when we were confronting some of those stories? Was it like a walk in the park right away? What was that like for you?
It was not a walk in the park at all. It was hard. It was nitty gritty. It was get down, get dirty.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yep. Resisted.
I resisted. I was very
Right.
resistant at the beginning. Anybody who's in this program knows that I was,
Yep.
you know, I was very stuck on playing poor me. I was playing the victim.
Yeah, which is a very common thing in anxiety support groups. If you're in a support group, consider that this poor me story that you're getting all support for is holding you back from resolution. That's why the only people that I work with, and I was very careful to tell you, is you got to be ready to be able to let go of this story. And you're not going to just get support from me. You're actually going to get strategic feedback that only directs you to getting you to the highest version of you humanly possible. And that might involve confronting you. That might involve calling you out on your bullshit. And so some people consider that unsupportive and being an asshole. And I agree, because it's like being a parent. You know what I mean? It's like the best parents out there aren't looking for like a validation from their kids. They're looking for results.
Yeah.
So what did you notice within a short period of time? Within a time frame, what did you notice changing about your state of being?
I noticed, like, as I did the work and we were doing our work together, and I went and I connected with other people, I felt this enlightened sense of being. I felt like I didn't have to hide from my own crap anymore. I now had the tools, thanks to you, that I could start knocking one off my list after another.
Yeah.
And as I did that, I don't feel so like I'm claustrophobic in my own life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That's like pretty awesome. And so what is it? What did you notice happening with you now in retrospect when you look at where you were before? What's happened to your relationships? What's happened to your finances and your income, your work, your marriage, you as a mother, as a stepmother, you as a human being socially? What's changed for you over the past 2 months?
That I'm able to connect again. Instead of just shutting down and saying, no, we don't talk about this, it's off limits, I'm able to be open and like really say like what it is and what's deep down with my family, with
stop hiding, stop pretending.
I'm not pretending anymore. I can talk to people without like feeling judgment. I don't feel judgment anymore. It just kind of says, well, if I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and that's it at the end of the day.
So would you say that you have your power and your mojo back? Because I can totally see it in you, and you lost it when we first started talking. Oh,
I did not have it before, and I feel it. It's coming. If I don't ever have it back, it's on its way. Way.
Oh, you totally have it back. If you're able to go publicly and share your story of where you were and what you were pretending and what's going on, I mean, can you see how much power that you've been able to connect with yourself and really share your authentic story?
Oh, absolutely. And I know this is not a one-time solution fix for your life. It is something like that you now are given the tools, and you can go and you can call yourself out, and you start now noticing where you're not being
where you're full of shit.
Where I'm being an asshole.
It was the biggest discovery for me that anxiety is a distraction from a lie. It's a distraction from resentment and a distraction from a lie. And as soon as you uncover the bullshit, all of a sudden you stop withholding, and it's like this relief of pressure off of your chest. And
Yeah.
so
And I haven't had an
it is,
anxiety attack in weeks now.
yeah, several weeks. And and part of the program is also a live training. What was your experience in the live training when we were in Montreal together?
For me, that was the come home moment for me. I was resistant, as you know, like up until probably then. I
Yeah.
was like, you know, who's this person on the other line calling me out on my bullshit? Who does he think he is?
Who the hell does
Like,
he think he is being such an asshole? And then we meet in
I'm going to
person.
go and I'm going to go and I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit.
I love it when people do. I call myself out so often. So when I get called out, I'm like, okay, got it, yeah, because I'm just the same. I'm on the same journey as you. I'm the guide on the side. You know, it's
Yeah.
been a big journey for me. I got to give you a little bit of an acknowledgement. It's been an incredible journey going from a full-time chiropractic practice to just going part-time chiropractic and then full-time into this kind of work, which I call the adjustment above Atlas. Because if we can shift the mindset and change the way of who you're being and the way that you're communicating and interacting with other people, you can heal from anxiety. You don't have to be holding on to the disorder. You don't have to hold on to the belief that it's a chemical imbalance that's out of your control, because the chemistry can change based on how you eat, move, and think. And
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge you for stepping into the void, Tara, for doing the scary thing. Because in order for you to have your freedom, there has to be a jump through a fear, through the hurdle of going there. And you did that. It was scary for you. You had a panic attack before you took the decision to jump on board with this, because you knew that we were going to have to change who you were becoming.
Oh, I knew by our first phone call that this was not going to be an easy fix.
Yeah,
This
and
was going to be,
it wasn't the same as anything you've ever done before.
yeah. And I knew that like I had deep, dark secrets that nobody knew that was going to have to come out.
Bingo. And so if
Yeah.
you are struggling right now, what would you say to somebody who's listening in, who's been caught in the grips of anxiety, who can't sleep at night, who's been getting panic attacks, who's living inauthentically, who's drifting and doesn't know who they are? They don't know who they are. They are putting on a fake smile out there, pretending in their lives. What would you say to them to, what would you say to them if you had an opportunity?
That this actually works. Like this works. There's no, I've done it all. I've spent thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars looking for a quick and easy fix, and a lot of it doesn't work, or it works. A lot of it is a band-aid. It
Yeah.
works for a few months, and then it's back to the normal bull crap of, you know, anxiety and depression. And if you really do this work and take it seriously, it changes lives. I've seen it firsthand. I've talked to people in the group, and it works.
Yeah. Well, it's a mastermind group that I have. It's called the Powerfully Aligned Mastermind Group. And if you're not already in my Facebook group, join the Art of Powerful Alignment. That's my free Facebook group where I share stories, I give tips, strategies each day on how to get yourself aligned through the stress and anxiety of expansion. Expansion is what we're here to do. And it's a scary thing, jumping into the void. So I love giving those tools. And if you are struggling right now and you want to start feeling better right now, and you're sick and tired of this, not unless you're ready to go right now, go ahead and bepowerfullyaligned.com/apply. Reach out and schedule an appointment. This is something that can be the biggest breakthrough of your entire life. If you're ready to start feeling better and stop with the lies and get called out on your bullshit, don't expect a support group, but expect...
Stop lying to yourself and just do it.
There's freedom on the other side of that,
Just,
you know?
just do it. Just do it.
Thanks, Tara. It's basically you go to bepowerfullyaligned.com/apply and you fill out some information and then schedule an appointment for a time that works good for both of us. And I sit down and I go over what the heck's happening. What are you struggling with? What's in the way? And then I map out a strategy over the next few months. And if the fit is right, then I will invite you into the program. It's not for everybody. I'm the first to admit, if you're looking for a support group, if you're looking to be made right, if you want to be supported and you want to be right, or you just want to look good, this is not the right group. This is for people who are willing to work hard and let go of their victim story. And when you do, there's freedom on the other side, as you can see, Tara has experienced. She didn't actually, wasn't jumping for joy right away within the first couple of weeks. She had to be confronted by some serious inauthenticities, but we walked her through it, and God bless her. I mean, what a transformation. You just recently went to New York for your birthday, and what did you notice differently about yourself compared to who you were just a couple months ago?
Oh, it was amazing. New York has always been this place that I've felt is I'm never good enough to be in. And I've visited it dozens of times. And for the first time, I was able to go and truly enjoy the city and walk and see the beauty and talk to people. I talked to people, talked to strangers sitting beside me in a restaurant and out on the street. And I just was back to my goofy self, whereas I would have been constantly having anxiety before, saying like, oh, I'm not dressed well enough to be here. I'm not good enough. Why am I here? I'm not enjoying myself. I would have gone to the hotel a couple of times during the day to have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and none of that happened this time.
Yeah. And here's the other crazy part is, would you ever have imagined yourself on a Facebook Live sharing your story so that somebody else who's struggling and is just on the fence about taking some sort of action can actually get their life and their freedom back? Would you ever have imagined that you got to that point?
No, I never would have imagined that I would have been here, sitting here.
I knew it the second that I saw you, that I spoke to you, that you were ready. You were just going to have to jump through some hoops, but I'm so super duper grateful, and I want to acknowledge you for who you've become and what you've had to do, and the darkness that you've had to go through in order to get there, because it hasn't been easy. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm so grateful to be able to work with badass rock stars like you. So thank you. Is there anything that you'd love to say before we sign off?
Thank you to you also.
My pleasure. It's just, I love doing what I do. You make it fun. And I will see you at the next perfect time, my dear. Are there any questions that you guys have for Tara or myself? If you haven't already, join the Facebook group. I'm just writing it down here. The Art of Powerful Alignment. That's right there. Go ahead and just kind of add yourself, request to join to continue the conversation. Thank you, Pega. For those of you paying attention, listening in, Kim Gilmore, it was great to have you on as well. Yeah, it was great to see when she turned the corner as well. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, I would love to be of service, and I look forward to crossing paths with you guys. Follow that link and fill out your information if you want to reach out and see if this type of if feeling better, if getting yourself back on track is for you. Let me know, and I look forward to crossing paths with you. Until next time, I will see you all at the next perfect time. Thank you, Tara.
Out.